I can't believe it! Bailey might be fired from Gray Sloan Memorial Hospital in Gray's Anatomy after the revelations of the new season. And today, I'm going to reveal to you how this is going to happen. So click the like button and subscribe to our channel to get all the latest news from the world of Gray's Anatomy. Let's go to our video. Season 21 of Gray's Anatomy begins with a major conflict between two of the most powerful figures at Gray Sloan Memorial, Meredith Grey and Catherine Fox. Meredith, now one of the leading researchers in Alzheimer's disease treatments, is making significant progress in her research, something that, for Catherine, is not just a threat to her control, but also to her legacy. Meredith finds herself pressured by an unexpected lawsuit. Catherine Fox, fearing the results and implications of Meredith's research that could negatively affect the family name, decides to file a lawsuit against Meredith herself. Catherine believes the project could bring legal consequences for the hospital and her family's foundation, putting her in a difficult position. Meredith, however, remains undeterred and continues her research, determined to make advancements in curing the disease that took her mother, Ellis Grey. The tension between the two escalates when Catherine begins to publicly criticize Meredith at the hospital. In a meeting with the directors, Catherine makes a point of questioning Meredith's work, insinuating that she is taking unnecessary risks. In response, Meredith remains calm but firm. I'm willing to face whatever is necessary to keep this research going, Catherine. A lawsuit won't stop me. The conflict between the two grows as Catherine starts speaking directly to other members of the staff, including Bailey, trying to rally support to suspend Meredith's research. In a hallway confrontation, Catherine directly challenges Meredith. You think you can save the world, Meredith, but you're putting the entire hospital at risk. Meredith, maintaining her composure, responds, I'm trying to save lives, Catherine. What you're trying to protect is your name, not the patient's. The clash between them highlights the growing division within the hospital. Some doctors align with Meredith, recognizing the importance of the research, while others stay loyal to Catherine and her concerns about legal and financial repercussions. At the height of the tension, Catherine threatens to take the lawsuit public, putting not only Meredith's research at risk, but also her reputation. Meredith, however, is not intimidated. Your lawyers know where to find me, Meredith says, with a coldness that even surprises Catherine. This moment shows that Meredith is prepared for anything, even if it costs her position at the hospital. The conflict between the two is far from resolved, and the consequences of the lawsuit will have a lasting impact on the hospital and Meredith's career. As the conflict between Meredith and Catherine unfolds, Gray Sloan Memorial welcomes back a familiar character, Sydney Heron. Previously a resident with an extremely upbeat personality, Sydney now returns as the new leader of the interns. Her contagious energy and enthusiasm are immediately felt by everyone at the hospital, but not everyone is ready to accept her leadership style. Bailey and Meredith, in particular, are frustrated with Sydney's approach, which attempts to impose a lighter, more optimistic pace in the interns' training. Sydney believes a more welcoming leadership is what the new doctors need, but for veterans like Bailey and Meredith, it seems like a lack of seriousness. We're here to save lives, Sydney, not to make friends with the interns. Bailey reprimands her during a meeting. Bailey's resistance to ceding control over the interns' training leads to several direct confrontations with Sydney. While Bailey believes in a more rigorous and practical training, Sydney insists on a more human and empathetic approach. The clash of methods creates a climate of tension between the veterans and the new leader. In a particularly intense scene, Sydney tries to reorganize the interns' shifts to give them more free time and less pressure. They need space to breathe, Bailey, Sydney argues. If you suffocate them with work, they'll end up making mistakes. Bailey, impatient, responds. They need to learn to handle the pressure, Sydney. Life in the hospital is like this. Despite the tensions, Sydney begins to win over some of the interns with her lighter approach, creating a new dynamic in the hospital. Even Bailey and Meredith, initially reluctant, start to see that Sydney's approach might have something to offer. However, the tension between the two is still far from over, and the hospital remains divided between Sydney's new leadership style and Bailey's more traditional model. However, we still have the peak of the tension between the hospital veterans, as an explosive confrontation between Bailey and Catherine happens in the middle of the hospital. Catherine, already irritated with Bailey's stance on Meredith's lawsuit, confronts her publicly. You think you're a godsend to this hospital? You're just another doctor! Catherine coldly snaps, not caring who is around. Bailey, already dealing with work stress and the changes brought by Sydney, loses control. I've dedicated my life to this hospital, and you think you can come here and insult me like that? She yells, her eyes filled with anger. Climax. Without thinking, in a burst of rage, Bailey slaps Catherine's face, leaving everyone around in shock. The sound of the slap echoes through the corridors, and for a few seconds, everything goes silent. Catherine, surprised and offended, puts her hand to her face while the other doctors look on in disbelief. Bailey's slap generates an immediate reaction in the hospital. Some doctors side with Bailey, understanding her frustration, while others align with Catherine, arguing that Bailey's action was unacceptable. The incident quickly spreads through the corridors, and soon everyone at the hospital is talking about the slap. Catherine, furious, demands that Bailey be fired immediately. But the hospital board is divided on how to handle the situation. Bailey, realizing the gravity of what she did, starts to fear the consequences. I can't lose my job over this. Bailey's future at the hospital is now at stake, and her career hangs by a thread. And amidst all the chaos in the hospital, Jackson Avery's return brings new hope to Gray Sloan Memorial. Jackson, who has been away for a while, returns with the mission of restructuring the hospital and leading an innovative research project. His presence is immediately felt, especially by Meredith, who welcomes him with a warm hug. Welcome back, Jackson. We need you now more than ever. Jackson quickly realizes that the hospital is divided, with the tension between Meredith and Catherine affecting everyone around them. He tries to mediate the situation, but finds himself in a difficult position, as Catherine is his mother. You need to be careful, Jackson, Meredith warns him. Catherine is playing hardball, and you might end up in the middle of this war. Despite the difficulties, Jackson commits to helping the hospital overcome its challenges, bringing a new energy to the team. He also tries to help resolve the conflicts between Bailey and Catherine, although he knows this task won't be easy. Jackson's return also rekindles old dynamics among the doctors. Some, like Joe and Levi, see Jackson as a leadership figure, while others, like Winston, feel pressured by his presence. Nonetheless, Jackson is determined to bring positive changes to the hospital, even if it means confronting his own mother. It's worth remembering that the last season ended after a moment of chaos. The drama begins when the doctors at Gray Sloan Memorial have to treat an exorbitant number of patients injured from a nearby wildfire. The final episode, titled Burn It Down, starts with smoke covering the city and the doctors attending to the injured. Owen convinces Teddy to return to the hospital to help during the crisis. There is then a crossover with the series Station 19. Some hospital doctors team up to care for Theo, a firefighter from the spin-off series. For the interns, things seem to be going well, as Lucas teamed up with a patient suffering from memory loss and helped her get her life back on track. Additionally, the characters create a database for people to check on their loved ones during the fire. Mika and Jules deal with Richard, who is in critical condition, and perform a complicated procedure to try to save his life. Up until this point, everything seemed to be going well, until Blue reluctantly admitted that he recognized the woman Lucas was treating. She used to be his fiancée. Next, Winston confronts Weber for allowing the interns to perform a complicated surgery, risking the success of the procedure. Meanwhile, Jules and Mika find comfort in each other after a patient's death, but are interrupted before they can kiss by Simone. Meredith and Richard have a candid conversation about Alzheimer's research and Richard's possible retirement from surgery. Meanwhile, the results of the interns' and residents' tests are released, with Levi not securing the pediatric surgery fellowship he had hoped for, leading him to reconsider his future. Lucas stands out as the top of his class, and after a threat from all the students to leave the hospital if he doesn't advance, Catherine is confronted, and Bailey joins the resistance, leaving the resolution for the future. This leaves Winston, Joe, Link, and Monica Beltran as the only doctors seemingly in a stable situation at the end of the season. Winston and Monica have started a new romance, sharing experiences from recent breakups. Joe discovers she is pregnant after fainting during the wildfire chaos, but hesitates to tell Link the news. Meanwhile, Meredith reconciles with Nick, and he agrees to be her partner, accepting her proposal to live together with her children in a house she has bought. Now I have a question for you. Are you looking forward to the new season of Grey's Anatomy?